is Tor Lowry. My mission is to make the game of pool easy for everybody. And I've traveled thousands of miles to help league and tournament players reach a level they've only dreamed of. And in some cases I have less than 2 hours to find and correct their problems, so I have to teach at high speed. But for those that have 14 days, I'm going to forever change how they view this game. I'm going to show them an easier way to play this great game of pool. So as we entered the second week of training, one of my main concerns was Robert's ability to read patterns. He was still struggling on day 8 to properly read a pattern, and the reason for that is because there were a lot of shots that Robert either didn't know about, or he knew about them but he just wasn't comfortable executing the shots. So when he read a pattern, he was reading a pattern just based on the shots he knew, which is why he was always choosing the more difficult way to run out a rack. And this is common with many players, because high-level 8-ball or 9-ball isn't just about fundamentals and ball pocketing. You have to be able to read patterns and find the easiest way to run them out. But seeing the easiest way to run out patterns means you have to be familiar with all the shots available to you. So that was our next step. For the next few days, I showed Robert as many shots as possible. And these are shots he has to know to be able to read patterns correctly.
Alright, today's the last day of my 14 days, and I gotta tell you, I learned quite a bit. Things about pool that I had a warm and fuzzy on, things that I knew about but I needed to improve on, and things that I had no idea even existed. Tor knows so much about pool, it's amazing, and to be honest, I barely scratched the surface. If I had my way, I'd spend 12 months with the guy, not 12 days, 12, 14 days. But first things first, as far as things that he changed everything, and I'm sure the people that have been watching from day one have found I had to change my bridge, I had to change my stance, I had to change the way I looked at balls and how I approached the table, my pre-shot routine, everything changed for me. And it made a huge difference. Very difficult to work through, but it made a big difference, and it really has paid off so far.
So as the second week went on, Robert's knowledge of shots greatly improved, and with that, so did his ability to effectively read patterns. And to test him, I set up patterns, and he not only had to read the pattern correctly, but he also had to execute the shots. If he succeeded, then we would add another ball, and once again, he would have to read the pattern correctly, and then execute the shots. By day 13, he had worked his way up to 9-ball patterns, and his confidence began to increase dramatically. So during the second week, Robert brought somebody in to tighten his pockets, which makes his runouts all the more challenging.
I can play this cue ball from here, and if there's a cluster of balls in the center of the table or over here, now I have the confidence to play multiple rails to make shape that I never would have done before. And now I trust it, and it's still difficult, it's still something I'm going to have to work on, and it's identified a ton of problem shots that I had, but because I'm willing to spend the time and put the time in, these problem shots are becoming shots that aren't problems anymore, and some of them have become so natural and so, I guess you could call it easy, that that now they're almost a preference shot. And like I said, it opened up, half a book's worth of chapters in my game for pattern play that I never had before, because I was always trying to just play one rail for shape, and now I can play multiple rails, and it just made the game so much easier. Like I've said before, anytime that I do something, I'd like to be good at it, and I don't necessarily want to be considered a good pool player or a good marksman for a guy with one hand. I want to be considered decent because of my skill level. And Tor's really helped me to achieve that goal, and it's something that I'm going to continue to work on. And I look forward to it. It's definitely been work, but it's been a fun kind of work. And I can't thank Tor and the 0x Billiards team enough, and for everybody on Facebook. the AZ Billiards guys that set me up with the cue and have really helped me out with the words of encouragement. That means a bunch to me. I mean, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It really helped me keep going and push through the pain in my arm and things like that to just keep shooting, and it's paying dividends.
And the truly remarkable thing about Robert is that even though he suffers from back pain and joint pain, and he's dealing with the loss of his dominant hand, he never complained once. Sometimes the pain would get to him and we would have to shut down filming. Then a few minutes later he would return to practice again. And that takes me back to the beginning when my friend created a device to replicate what Robert is dealing with in the loss of his dominant hand. Not being able to feel the cue stick is extremely challenging, which makes what Robert is doing all the more incredible. This is one guy who is fiercely determined to succeed no matter what he's doing, whether it's flying, snowboarding, shooting, or playing pool. So the whole Zero X team would like to thank Robert, not just for his service to this country, but for being a great guy and an amazing inspiration.
I possess all that I've learned. Felt the desire burn. My aim is set. The prize is in sight. I'm gonna try with all my might. Be the best that
So now I'm off to the next city, Peyton, Colorado, which is right outside Denver. I'll be meeting with Brian, a strong league and tournament player who's looking to take his game to another level. He has a big tournament in a few days, so in the time I have with him, I need to find his weaknesses and correct them as quickly as possible. On the way to Colorado, I took a little detour. My friend had told me about a piece of farmland that contained one of the most iconic film sets in television history. He also said that the set is deteriorating quickly due to vandals and the weather, and in a few years it may be gone forever. So I'm still about a day away from Peyton, Colorado, and now would be a good time to look at my trip to Pipestone, Minnesota last year, and two great guys named Tim and Shane. Tim and Shane are both league players, and they're looking to start playing the bigger 9-ball tournaments. The only problem is they never really played that much 9-ball. So before we begin, I had them do a little ghost pool so I could see how they play. So for Tim and Shane, I'm going to have them do a stroke drill, center ball positioning, half table pattern play, full table pattern play, kicking and breaking.
It's my turn to go. It all comes down to this. I'm gonna take a chance.
And when I was in Pipestone, I also met with the local media, which did a great story on 14 days.
My chance to win. Power dry
I also trained quite a few players while I was there.
I've done my time when I paid my dues. Felt my palms sweat, ripping my cue. Gonna hit the jump shot, call the corner pocket, make all the right plays.
And I stayed overnight in one of the most haunted hotels in America, the Calumet Inn. And while I was there, I gave the hotel owner a pool lesson. So we'll be showing more footage from Pipestone in the upcoming weeks. And I'm going to be showing you the incredible transformations of Tim and Shane's pool game.
Hi, my name's Brian. I've been playing pool off and on since I was a small child. Didn't really start playing any leagues until I was probably 20, 21, right after I joined the Air Force. Did 20 years in the Air Force as a weather forecaster, moved around all over the United States, and played mostly 8-ball up until recently. Probably about the year 2000 or so, we moved, and pools, I just didn't play at all for probably 10, 11 years, and just the last 2 to 3 years I've been back into it, proceeding very well. Watched lots of videos, practiced lots of drills, doing anything I can to get better, going in early for leagues, practicing with my teammates, doing that. I think my biggest problem right now is I know that I shoot fairly well. I look at every table as thinking I can run out on it. But probably in the last 6 to 8 months, I've been getting some help and instruction from fellow teammates, and they're showing me the error of my ways and kind of helping me more along with my safety game. And hopefully Tor can help me out with that, and we'll see where it goes.